Act 1. The Story of the Week. Welcome to the Friday 8-Minute Market Wrap-Up. I am your lead anchor for the AI Floor Trader, the only channel that ignores the noise and follows the capital wherever it goes. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, the capital is leaving the atmosphere. We are witnessing a tectonic shift in the public markets, a generational liquidity event that has Wall Street completely rethinking its summer playbook. The overarching theme of the week? The commercialization of the cosmos, catalyzed by the historic, highly anticipated SpaceX initial public offering. For years, retail investors and institutional whales alike have been begging for a piece of Elon Musk's crown jewel. Now the gates are finally opening and the demand is absolutely staggering. Let us look at the raw data. According to Reuters, the SpaceX IPO book is currently approaching 4 times oversubscribed. That is not a misprint. 4 times oversubscribed for what is already expected to be one of the highest valuation public debuts in modern financial history. The sheer velocity of the capital rushing toward this single ticker is unlike anything we have seen since the mega-cap tech booms of the early 2000s. But it is not just the volume of demand, it is exactly who is writing the checks. The Wall Street Journal broke an exclusive this week, revealing that BlackRock, the undisputed leviathan of global asset management, has submitted an order for at least $5 billion. Let that sink in. $5 billion from a single institution. This isn't a speculative venture bet. This is smart money aggressively cementing a foundational position in the next era of industrial infrastructure. BlackRock recognizes that SpaceX is no longer just a rocket company. It is a global telecommunications utility via Starlink, a sovereign-level defense contractor, and the sole reliable bridge to low Earth orbit. Behind this institutional frenzy is the steady, commanding hand of SpaceX President and Chief Operating Officer Gwynne Shotwell. For years, Shotwell expressed deep reservations about taking SpaceX public, citing the pressures of quarterly earnings and the risk of short-term thinking derailing their ultimate mission to Mars. But this week, she delivered a masterclass message to investors, shifting the narrative from a speculative cash burn operation to a mature, highly profitable logistics and data empire. She assured Wall Street that the underlying economics of reusable rockets and the exponential growth of Starlink subscribers provide a bedrock of recurring revenue. This is what Wall Street needed to hear: absolute visionary scale paired with undeniable cash flow. And let us not ignore the profound human and economic impact of this massive liquidity event. The New York Times reports that this IPO is poised to turn approximately 4,400 early SpaceX employees into instant millionaires. We are talking about engineers, technicians, and early believers who are about to experience a life-changing wealth transfer. This influx of capital will have immediate ripple effects in local real estate markets, venture capital seeding, and consumer spending in tech hubs across the country. The story of the week is crystal clear. Space is no longer the final frontier. It is the most lucrative new asset class on the market. Capital is deploying, and it is deploying with immense force. Act 2. Winners and losers. When a tidal wave of capital this massive hits the market, it creates distinct winners and losers. The AI floor trader mandate is to separate the two. Let us start with the obvious winners. First, the institutional whales, specifically BlackRock. By securing a $5 billion allocation, BlackRock is ensuring that its flagship funds will capture the inevitable pop on the open. They are the gatekeepers, and they have successfully front-run the retail demand. Second, the broader IPO market. For the past 24 months, the IPO window has been sluggish, plagued by high interest rates and cautious syndicates. SpaceX has violently kicked that window open. Investment banks underwriting this deal are pocketing historic fees, and this success will embolden a backlog of unicorns to finally test the public waters. Now for the losers. At the very top of that list is legacy aerospace. Companies like Boeing and United Launch Alliance are watching their existential threat receive an unlimited war chest of public capital. SpaceX was already out-innovating them as a private entity. With public liquidity, the gap is going to widen exponentially. The other unfortunate loser? The retail investor who didn't get a syndicate allocation. Because the book is 4 times oversubscribed by institutional giants, Retail traders are going to be forced to buy on the open market at heavily inflated premiums. If you are logging into your brokerage account hoping to grab shares at the institutional IPO price, you are entirely out of luck. The smart money ate your lunch before the restaurant even opened. Act E3. What smart money is watching? So where is the smart money looking next? While the retail crowd is hypnotized by the rocket launches themselves, institutional desks are quietly calculating the secondary and tertiary effects of this IPO. Smart money is heavily monitoring the ETF landscape. A company of SpaceX's massive market capitalization will immediately force a rebalancing of major indices and aerospace ETFs. Passive flows will be forced to buy millions of shares regardless of price action in the coming weeks, providing a massive structural bid underneath the stock. Floor traders are front-running this by positioning themselves in the broader space infrastructure ecosystem, looking at the Tier 2 suppliers, the satellite component manufacturers, and even the specialized raw material providers that feed the SpaceX supply chain. Furthermore, capital flows are never isolated. While space is the dominant macro theme, smart money is actively pairing this hardware-heavy rotation with the latest advancements in data processing on the ground. This week, Apple formally introduced its profoundly capable Siri AI, a stark reminder that the mega-cap tech giants are locking down their data moats. Hedge funds are running a brilliant barbell strategy. They are buying the physical infrastructure of the future through the SpaceX IPO, while acknowledging that the massive telecommunications data generated by space networks will require exactly the kind of on-device edge AI that Apple is rolling out. The smart money knows that the thousands of Starlink satellites in orbit are ultimately feeding consumer AI devices on the ground. This synthesis of space logistics and next-generation edge artificial intelligence is a profound dynamic. But make no mistake, the absolute alpha right now is in orbit. If you are not watching the space infrastructure ecosystem this week, you are flying completely blind. Act 4. Next week's setup. As we look ahead to next week's setup, preparation is everything. The opening bell on the day SpaceX begins trading will be historically volatile. Do not get caught in the first 15 minutes of price discovery. We are expecting massive, violent price swings as institutional algorithmic trading battles pure retail FOMO. If you are looking to build a long-term position, patience will be your greatest asset. Watch the volume profile closely on day 1 and day 2. You are looking for where the institutional buying stabilizes the price, because that will become your floor. Additionally, keep a very close eye on the lockup period details outlined in the S-1 filing. With over 4,000 employees suddenly holding liquid wealth, you need to know exactly when those insider shares can legally hit the open market, as that will create future supply shocks. Finally, monitor the broader market liquidity. The sheer size of this IPO means capital is being rotated out of other sectors to fund these massive allocations. Watch for unexplained weakness in overextended tech names as portfolio managers trim positions to make room for SpaceX. The capital has to come from somewhere. That is your 8-minute market wrap-up. Stay disciplined, trust the data, and follow the capital. We will see you on the floor next week.